Welcome to the Hollywood Scholar. I'm Jed Morgan, and it seems like the more and more we hear about the Halo series coming from Paramount Plus, the more and more the fans are rejecting this dog shit show. And it seems like the early reviews are in, and they're confirming everything that we feared would come to pass in this show. And I mentioned this in my previous video. I'm not a huge Halo fan. I've played the Halo 4 campaign and a little bit of Halo 5 multiplayer, but that's about it. But I hugely respect the series and the fans of it and understand to a certain degree what are important things about it, like you shouldn't see Master Chief's face, which the show is ignoring. And it seems like the show is again ignoring Master Chief as a character to prop up other characters, as we feared and prophesied it would be when the initial trailer came out. But we have this article here from Bounding the Comments that will break down some of the early review news that we heard recently. Halo TV series to completely change Master Chief's character, focus on Quan Ah for human perspective. And that's this character here. I believe her character is 15 years old, and that is, when we saw the trailer, everyone pretty much predicted that she would be the key to everything, the woman who's the key to everything, and Master Chief would be babysitting her throughout the entire show, and that she would teach him how to be a better man. And the reason we were able to project that is because we've seen it so many times in the past. Picard is a perfect example of it, and so it seems like we were 100% right, and that's why fans are not looking forward to this series whatsoever. But let's break down this news that Bounding Comments got for us. Hot off the heels of the controversial announcement that the series protagonist will be unmasking for his upcoming Paramount Plus debut, and that is 100% a wrong take. This character is supposed to be an enigma. He's supposed to be a blank slate for the game players, and that doesn't always work, but it works very well for this, the Doom guy, and there's a few other examples where it's just you don't want to see the face, and that makes sense. And this franchise has been built off that idea for nearly 20 years, and so for this show to think, you know what, we know this series has been doing this for 20 years, but we're better than them, we're smarter, we know better than the fans, the original writers that created this fandom, we're better than them, we're smarter, so we're going to do what we want. And that's always a bad take. That's something the fans never want to hear, because it means that you don't care about what came before. You don't care about the franchise. And if you don't care, why should the fans trust you? Why should the fans give you and your show the time of day? And the fans aren't. They're summarily rejecting this show. And that is exactly what they should do when they hear news about like this. But let's get further into it. The Halo series was not the only version of Master Chief, but a nearly completely different version of his iconic character. And they're always going to say that in Hollywood and in comic book spheres. They're like, oh, different universe, but different universe. It doesn't change the fact that they're repurposing something and destroying it for their own agenda. But that heavily advertised female lead, Quan An, will be the focus of the series, as she provides a human perspective on the story. We don't want to see some random main character. We want the Master Chief to be the main character. We don't need a human perspective in a story like this of a jacked motherfucker beating the shit out of lots of aliens. We don't need a human perspective in that. And the moment, this isn't racist, but the moment we knew she was a female of color, we knew what the show was going to be, because that's exactly how it plays out in so many different instances. Hollywood has become so predictable that the moment we see a female of color, we know what's going to happen. Just like in the Kenobi show, the moment we saw that female Inquisitor of color, we knew that she's going to turn good in the end. She's going to save Kenobi, and she's going to be the victim of everything, and she's going to be the key to everything. 100% believe that. We don't know yet. The show hasn't come out, but we've seen it so many times before. The moment there's a female of color getting prominent screen time in a trailer, we know what's going to happen in a show like this. And it sucks. I wish that there was enough diversity in storytelling that we wouldn't be able to predict something like that just based on a character's look. But Hollywood is so fucking racist that these characters that look a certain way can only fulfill a certain type of story. And we can predict it because of that. And that's just an incredibly sad thing to be the case. This upcoming details regarding the upcoming live-action adaptation were touched upon at the Paramount Plus. Head of Halo Transmedia, Kiki Wolfkill, that's an awesome name, who also serves as executive producer on the series. Showrunner Steve Kane and the Master Chief actor recent interview Den of Geeks Megan Kors. On the set of the interview, Wolfkill explained to Course that the team was decided to set Halo in a new silver timeline, similar to the concept of J.J. Abrams. So yeah, they're just going into the separate timeline stuff of it, which in and of itself isn't a huge deal, but they're specifically marketing it off that to say, hey, any problems you have with the series doesn't matter because this isn't the same universe, so you can't criticize us. And using it as a shield against criticism isn't going to endear you to the fans. If you're already having a shield, it means that you're worried about this show, that you're afraid of the backlash that will come from it. Sometimes you just need a perspective change. Sometimes it's something that you just get a view of the game or books. We also needed that to let the story breathe on its own. So it looks like they're talking about what's her bucket. The new female of color who's the human perspective. At the end of the day, it comes down to being able to make moment-to-moment decisions, she added. Wolfkill elaborated, every day there are decisions to be made about, do we do something exactly as it's done in the game, or are there good reasons to do it differently? And if so, how do we keep it true to the spirit of Halo, but at the same time keep the voice of all things incredible creators coming through? They don't care about the spirit of Halo because the spirit of Halo is Master Chief, and if they're already butchering his character, they don't understand the story, so that's a non-argument that she just had there. One such example of major change made into the series lore is the historic fall of Reach, the Covenant attack that wiped out the humanity Spartan soldiers, which, from what I've heard, is one of the highlights of the series, like one of the darkest points, but one of the best written, and that is incredible, and I hope they don't mess it up, because, yeah, a highlight of the series, let's throw it out the window. That sounds just like Hollywood. That left Master Chief as one of the last, if not only surviving result of Earth's super soldier ambitions. Yeah, he's one of the only ones left. In the games, this event happens prior to humans discovering the first Halo reign. However, in the series, the fall of Reach has not yet occurred, most likely as a way to allow the production to feature more Spartans. So, yep. Lore, what's that? Fans, who cares? Common sense, fuck that. We don't want to tell the game in television form. Kane said it's the Silver Timeline. They're just focusing so much on that just as a shield from criticism. And it's just ridiculous. The discussion, here we go, turned to the series principal cast, but more specifically, it turned to Heron's Haz Quinn Ah. I apologize if I pronounced all of that. An original series character whose juxtaposition of her hatred of the Spartans against the necessity of fighting alongside Master Chief will serve as one of the Halo's main narrative focuses. And that idea is a cool story element that could be developed well, but I don't trust any writers from Hollywood, specifically Paramount Plus, to write that with any sort of tact or skill. She just hates Spartans. That's kind of where they're beginning it as. Following a massive tragedy, they're just breaking down her story quite a bit that might fall into spoiler territory. And I don't necessarily want to break all that down. The Hollywood Reporter claimed on March 11, rather than viewing Master Chief's opaqueness as a hurdle, Halo makes the Chief character ignorant of his past, his memory. Why'd they erase his memory? I don't remember that being in the game, but that's a cheap story trick these days. So the question, who is the Master Chief, becomes a journey. The key to the Master Chief is a bit of a cipher. So yeah, this is just a lot of news about the show that really doesn't respect the lore that came before. Nothing about this entices me to it, and there's quite a bit of detail on the upcoming show that worries me, because I don't want to see his face. I don't want the focus to be on other characters, and it looks like they're going to focus a lot on her. I've heard quite a bit of rumors about that, and just overall, nothing about this show seems like it's going to be good, and it seems like it's going to crash and burn, as people are already rejecting it. Even the critics are hating it, and they don't hate anything from Hollywood. So I'm a little concerned about that when the critics hate it, the audience may love it, but it seems like this might be one of the times where just everyone hates a dog shit show, which does happen sometimes. But I'm not an expert on Halo, so I can't say exactly what the fans want. From my understanding of the fans I know, everything that was outlined in this article and everything that this show has said about itself and all the stuff that's been said in the reviews is wrong, fundamentally wrong. So we're going to have to see how it plays out. It doesn't release for a little while yet, but I don't have any hope for it. I think it's going to be trash. But anyway, that's all I have for today. I'd be interested in your comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you on the next video. Anon. If you like what I do here and want to see good, compelling stories that Hollywood will no longer give you, check out my book series, Odyssey of a Phoenix, a mythological epic about philosophy, morality, and modern-day mental illness issues. Books 1, Down in Flames, and Book 2, Apocalypse Then, currently on sale. Book 3, Kill the Dark, coming soon.